Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. We are going to feature an example of ridiculously over-the-top game rigging and cheating. Because why not? Because everybody was cheating and boosting. Nobody was really fighting. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. All right, I'm in a good mood today, guys. But just before we get into this replay, I just want to let you guys know thanks so much for all of you who have been subscribing to the channel, helping the channel subscription numbers skyrocket. I'm glad that you appreciate my work in exposing these game rigging cheaters. And I'm going to keep doing it as long as you guys keep sending me the replays, okay? So let's get into this one here. Thank you so much for your subs. It's a lot of work making these videos because I got to check the game. I have to watch the game. I have to make sure that things are actually nefarious. Check accounts. It takes some time. But I'm in a good mood. Boy mucho masa. Let's make it a little bit entertaining today. Nobody was really fighting. They were all just cheating and boosting. Now, poor little Pontifex from the Saber clan has just started this game, and he looks around, and he's wondering, should I bother playing? And we see this a lot now. We see this a lot. You just start the game, and you wonder, well, what? Okay, I've already got 3 guys. This is an extreme example, okay? We don't see this a lot, thankfully. Let me back up and just say I hope you guys are not experiencing this a lot, okay? Because the examples that I'm seeing are, I'm showing you the extreme ones. I get lots of emails and lots of examples, and I've had lots of examples where you start the game and you have 1 or 2 or 3 AFK guys. Look at that troop of AFK heavies. I've had lots of games where there's 1 or 2 AFK heavies, or in tier 10 I'm speaking, or a platoon of AFK heavies. And you just go, ah! Like my dad, right? When you want to point out something to my dad. If you want to make a soft-boiled egg, Dad, you have to boil the water and then put the egg in for exactly 5 minutes. Then it'll be a perfect soft-boiled egg. And he says, ah! He just puts the egg in the thing and in cold water and puts it on the stove and turns it on and leaves it in for 20 minutes. And then when he cracks it open, he goes, oh, sorry, it's hard-boiled. He denies that there is a way of actually doing it correctly. That's besides the point. Can you tell I'm in a good mood today? So you do probably see, let me know in the comment section, you guys, it's very common to see 1 or 2 or 3 AFK tanks on your team, or tanks that don't really do much. And you know, a connection problem, maybe they logged in and they disconnected or something, right? Some issue. Well, I'm looking at those extremely differently now, because what are the chances that every freaking game there's 1 or 2 people that really don't do anything or are AFK? Now look at the mini-map here. Let's make the mini-map bigger, and you'll see these guys that were AFK. They're actually moving now. The mouse is moving a little bit. One of these i7s moved slightly. Our poor guy who submitted the replay here, Pontifex, he just didn't even want to play the game. He was busy typing in chat. You know, he was just saying, okay, another loss, and he's going to have a shitty game. Okay, so we're not looking at his gameplay here. Some enemies moved into the city here. He has no support. Maybe he should have just stayed with his AFK group of tanks, but he lost the game. He died. And now this guy who sent me this replay, who died, decided to correctly to wait till the end of the game, right? Most people right now would just leave the game. Oh, screw it. There were some AFK players on my team, leave the game. How many of you would just, you know, escape, go to the next game? Come on, hands up. How many of you would just hit escape now, go to the next game? I probably would. Most people would. And you just say, I don't know, there was a disconnection problem. There were 6 or 7 people on my team that were AFK. Move on to the next game, right? No. He stayed for the full duration of the game to see what would happen. And we're watching it now, and I should speed it up to double speed, because though you did stay so that we could see the whole replay and what unfolds, you forgot to switch camera to one of the other tanks. You're just staring at your own dead body here. But now if you look at the mini-map, and you'll start seeing, I'm going to put it up 4 times speed. Right over here, this troop of AFK tanks starts to move now. And they're going to start getting farmed by different players on the enemy team. Well, look at the minimap. They start to charge forward now. And they start exchanging their HP with a troop of enemy heavy tanks. Basically just a shit show. And unfortunately, because you did not switch perspective, we don't really know. Well, if we would have watched from some other perspective, who cares? Let's go to the post-game stats and have a look at what happened. So, just a shitty battle for him. When you look at the post-game stats now, you'll see that there are a lot of zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 zeros on his team. Some zeros on the enemy team. And some players that did really well. This guy here got 8,000 damage. This guy did 7,000 damage. A couple of players. This guy did 7,000 damage, 6,000 damage. And I cannot accuse any of those guys of game rigging cheating because we have no idea how they got into this battle, or could have just been coincidence that someone like this got into this battle, was having a pretty good game, moved forward, saw a bunch of heavy tanks driving in the open. We don't know. We can't put the facts together to point the finger at any one individual or group of individuals for rigging this game. But what we can do is look at these accounts, okay, of these tanks that did 0, and you start to see a pattern. Let's look at those accounts. This IS-7 on his team that did 0. That's his name. He is, of course, anonymized. His pre-battle name was that, but his real name is Vishka. Now, Vishka is a private at the AGN1 clan. This game took place on the Asia server. Overall, this account is a teal-blue player with a 1,832 WN8, but over the past 57 battles has done basically nothing. The second IS-7 on his team that did nothing. This is another one of these accounts that was created quite a while ago in 2012. Has an overall WN8 of 1,100 or so, but recent WN8 of 0. All right. So as this account has played 30 games with a 0 WN8, basically doing nothing for 30 games. Now remember, when I just show you one extreme example like this, there are always the fanboys and the deniers that'll say, well, that's just one example. You can't prove that this happens more than once. Well, when you look at the accounts here, you'll see, as I've just shown, that particular IS-7 there did it 30 times. So he's played 30 games and done 0. He's destroyed 30 games, okay? And if you add up all these accounts and how many games they've played, the numbers start to add up that this is affecting many, many hundreds of games, if not thousands of games. Let's look at this guy here in the Object 430U. This is an account that was created long ago in 2013, has a fairly decent overall WN8, close to 1,200, and has now been inactive. Inactive until the date of that game. The mouse on his team here is this player from the TMP clan, and you'll notice that there is a TMP clan player on the opposing team here, the T125, also from the same clan. Things are starting to look a little nefarious now, right? The mouse on his team that did nothing is a combat officer from the TMP clan. Overall WN8 of about 1,000, but recently a WN8 close to 0. He's played and done 0 51 battles in a row. The T57 Heavy also did 0 on his team. Let's check him. This account was created in 2012, had an overall WN8 of close to 800, but now recently for 41 battles has a WN8 close to 0, has done virtually nothing for 41 battles. The Patton on his team, who also did not fire his gun and did 0, is an old account created in 2012 with a good overall WN8 of 1,500, but has been inactive and just activated to participate in that battle. Let's continue up the list here. This T125 only fired his gun twice in the battle and did 412 damage. Account created in 2012, overall WN8 1,260, recent WN8 17. This guy's played 74 battles recently and did 0. Are you starting to see a pattern here, guys? These accounts are all game rigging, cheating, throwaway accounts. Some of them, clan officers operated, just involved in game rigging in combined hundreds and hundreds of battles. Shall we go up the list one more here, guys, and see Kaz1, account created in 2014, overall WN8 600, but recently has played in the last 60 days 132 battles and done virtually 0. Let's switch to the other side, guys. The T125, who happens to be in the same clan as the mouse. Account created in 2013, overall WN8 of about 600, recent WN8 0. This guy has played in past 60 days 22 battles and done 0. He's in the same clan as the mouse on the other team. Remember the mouse on the other team, combat officer of the TMP clan, who also, over the past 60 days, has played 51 battles and done pretty much 0. So is it starting to seem a little bit fishy to you guys? We could check some, let's just check a couple more accounts here. Let's check the Object 140. Account created in 2013. Overall WN8 of 973. Recent WN8 0. Has played in the past 60 days 60 battles, a streak of 60 battles with 0 WN8. Basically done nothing for 60 battles. Just a placeholder game rigging account. Object 277, Makoon. Now I find this a little bit weird too. His anonymized name is Makoon. His real name is McCann. WarGaming, you just anonymized McCann to be Makoon. McCann is a commander of another clan, the KCBTH clan. This is like, clans are infested into this thing. Overall WN8 of close to 1,000, but in the past 60 days has played 62 games of almost 0 WN8. What about the T125 here? Account created 2013, overall WN8 of 1,685, which is pretty good. But over the past 60 days has played 59 battles with close to 0 WN8. Typical history that you see in these game rigging accounts. An account that was chugging along here at 900 WN8, and then a long period of inactivity, and comes back now, boom, doing 0. Right? Another account that's been taken over and is being used for game rigging now. So you can see the pattern here, right, guys? And let me be perfectly clear in this video. I am not accusing any of these guys that did well in the game, that did a lot of damage, of game rigging. We just simply don't know. What I know is that there are boosting companies that try and boost accounts by dropping in and trying to get these type of tanks, feeder tanks, to supply free HP to the accounts that they're trying to boost. And when they try and boost a particular tank, they will drop in with dozens and dozens of accounts. It may be that in this particular case, the accounts just landed in this battle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 nefarious game rigging accounts and 4 or 5 nefarious game rigging accounts on the enemy team. 2 of the players from the same clan, the TMP clan, on opposing teams. Maybe those accounts just landed here, and these players just found themselves in this situation and played the game as best they could. So we just simply don't know. As was the case with Pontifex here, who, when he just saw the game start, he thought, oh, he gave up, and he ended up doing only 640 damage. He was just disgusted that he was in another one of these games that a meaningless game. Does it really matter that someone did 8,486 damage in this situation? Assuming that he wasn't involved at all in the game rigging, these guys that did a lot of damage here, they did well. So what? Right? What's the point? When do we cross the line to this whole game just becoming a shit show? If these accounts, these game rigging accounts associated with boosting companies, run by commanders and officers at clans, in the game, if these accounts can do it for 20, 30, 40, 50, I've shown other videos where their accounts do 0 for 500, 600, 700 games in a row. If they're allowed to just continue wargaming and to continue to do 0 game after game after game and infest the random battles just arbitrarily, sometimes you might get 1 or 2 on your team or the enemy team. Sometimes there might be 2 or 3 AFK in one game or another because they didn't drop into the right game. Or sometimes you might end up with a situation like this where there's like a dozen of them and it becomes perfectly clear that it's a shit show. These game rigging accounts are floating around in the background, trying to drop in, getting into the boosting games sometimes, and sometimes getting in your games. And a lot of the times, you wouldn't know. You just wouldn't see them. If there was only 1 or 2 tanks here that did 0, or 3 or 4 tanks that did 0, you might not even notice. In fact, if Pontifex here, playing his game, if he exited the game after he died, he would have left with the idea that, well, I had a game and there was a lot of players on my team that were AFK. Maybe they disconnected. If he had left the game, if he had not watched the game right to the end, to see that those AFK tanks sat there for a reason, and at the end, maybe because they wanted to feed someone on the enemy team, move forward, or maybe just to end the game quickly. We don't know. This is all speculation now. But the point is, allowing these boosting companies to operate, allowing accounts like this to go on and on and on, hundreds of games in some occasions, thousands of games, without being flagged, without being terminated. WarGaming, you're just leaving this cancer in the game to spread. And the more and more you guys are looking for it, the more and more you notice it, and the more and more replays I'm getting. People that would never have thought that there was a game rigging, play a game and they die, and they notice, well, wait a minute, 3 people on my team haven't moved yet. I'm not going to go back to the garage. I'm going to watch this game now. And then they watch the game right to the end. And it's not till the 9-minute mark that those 3 guys move up, and then 1 guy in the enemy team kills them. And so it's sad that we're at the level now where people feel that I'm going to watch this to make sure it's not. I know we're going to lose the battle in 3 minutes because 5 of my teammates aren't doing anything. I'm going to watch it now to see if it's game rigging. The fact that we have to be cognizant of that at all is just dumb. And WarGaming, I just don't understand how you cannot detect these accounts, how you can let accounts like this that do 0 and are obviously involved in nefarious stuff that's against your own EULA that you make us click on, how you don't even respond or say anything or delete these accounts is beyond me. You guys leave some comments in the comment section. See if, what are your thoughts? I sound like a broken record, don't I, guys? I'm going to keep making the videos. You guys are sending me the replays. I don't particularly enjoy just making videos on game rigging cheating. I'm going to try and only do 1 a week, as long as you guys keep sending them to me. But I'm going to continue to expose them because no one else is. And to me, the fact that this is in the game it bothers me. And I know that it bothers a lot of you. And I can't get to the position where I say, it's okay. I don't want to worry about it. It just irks me that WarGaming is giving this no thought and doesn't care at all. If there's one thing that you could do, WarGaming, to get in the good books with a big portion of the community, is to put your foot down and say, yeah, we're going to try and stamp out these boosting companies and these game rigging cheaters. Like, well, what's the downside, WarGaming? Like, who do you think is going to get upset at you? Think about this, guys. It's always good sometimes to turn it around, right? Because you can ask the question, why isn't WarGaming doing anything? Why don't you do something, WarGaming? Why don't you ban these accounts? Why don't you detect an account that does 0 for 50 battles in a row? Why? Turn it around. Why aren't they? Why aren't they doing it? What have they got to lose? What part of the player base are you going to upset if you do something about it, WarGaming? Think about it that way. Who would be upset if they did something? If WarGaming came out and said, we are declaring war on the boosting companies. If we catch the boosting companies, we'll delete the accounts immediately. Any account that behaves in this manner, that does 0 for 20 games in a row, will be immediately deactivated for a period of a month. And if it does it again, it's deleted permanently. If they came out and said that, I'd say bravo. But who would be upset? Think of it that way. WarGaming, who are you worried that you will upset? The only people I think that would be upset if you declared war on the boosting companies and game riggers are the boosting companies and game riggers. So why aren't you doing anything? Are you worried that you'll upset them? Think of it that way. I'll catch you guys on the next one.